I just want to very quickly address one of the questions in chat from DJ,
Mm-hmm.
who says, "How does one show self-compassion?" That's a really good question. That's a really really good question, and I want to just like spend like 5 minutes and take you guys all on a little journey, if you will humor me for a moment. Take you guys all on a little journey and do a little bit of an exercise together. About how to learn to show self-compassion, and specifically, DJ, this little exercise that I want to show you is more about the acceptance component of what you're going through, and this is something that leads to being able to show self-compassion, because the ability to show self-compassion is actually kind of a skill. Like, it's hard to do. Not everybody can just be like, yay, go me, right? Or like, that's fine, or like, be accepting and lenient of like failures and successes. So what I want to do with you guys, whatever you guys are going through, whether it's OCD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, trauma, anything like that, any like condition you think you have or symptom you feel you have, sadness, anger, frustration, jealousy, anything like that, pick one thing. Pick one thing that's really affecting you that you're going through. And I want you to picture this issue, this condition, this symptom. I want you to picture it as an object. And it can be anything. It can be like an object in your life. It can be a shape, a squiggle, a cloud, anything. You know what I mean? Just like, what would it look like? What would it look like? And just picture it as a thing. What does a depression look like? What does an anxiety look like? For me, as I do this exercise, my anxiety looks like a little like zigzag guy, like like a cloud in a comic book where that it makes like a sound effect, but it's like a bang or like a zap. You know what I mean? Um, that's just like a word bubble, a really pointy word bubble, a shape, and it's like red. That's like what my anxiety looks like. For Flash, frustration resembles a ball of 20 centimeter diameter. Very specific.
Like, that's very specific and a metric too.
Very good, very good. It can be very specific. It can be very specific. It can be very broad and strange, like mine, and a concept. Yeah, we don't know why. Sometimes we don't know why. And that's cool. That's okay. Just whatever comes to your mind, that's the association you have. There's no right or wrong way to do that. It's just whatever picture comes into your head at that moment. Okay. And so you're searching for Dragon Ball stuff. Yeah, it can be cued by media or pop culture. But yeah, picture that thing. And just for a second, watch it. Watch what the object does. See how it moves and see where it goes. Is it a part of you? Are you looking at it externally? And just for a second, try to acknowledge what the object, so the issue that you're dealing with, what it's there for. Like, it's probably somewhere around you, whether it's inside of you or it's floating around near you. Like, you can probably see it near you or inside of you, right? And it's like, why is it here? Like, it's here for a reason. This is important. This is very important. Issues arise only because, and this doesn't make sense at first, only because they're trying to help us. And this is a concept that I've talked about before and that I will talk about over and over and over again because everybody needs to understand it. Disorders and symptoms of disorders, anxieties, issues, ADHD, they exist because your body thinks that they're going to be helpful. Your body actually doesn't want to destroy you, whether or not we feel like our body is working with us or against us at all times. It is not in our instinct to want to self-destruct. Like, humans want to survive. We have instincts to survive. And sometimes those instincts cause us to feel and experience things that are unpleasant. For example, anxiety exists because it's trying to teach you that you might need to fear something, or that something needs to change, right? Sadness exists because it's also a cue that, something external has upset us and we don't want to do this again. Negative emotions and disorders are meant to be adaptive. They have a purpose. People who have ADHD, this is why I don't really see it as a disorder on its own, ADHD. People who have a cognitive wiring of behavior that is different from other people or different from whatever we call normal. It exists because your body thinks that being able to do this will be helpful for you in some way. Being more impulsive might be helpful. Being risky might be helpful. Having anxiety more and more might make you more hypervigilant and more aware of what's going on around you. So all disorders exist for a reason. They're trying to help you. Even depression. There are parts of depression like escape behaviors. When you have depression and you get very recluse. That's a behavior that's trying to protect you from further damage because your esteem has been damaged so far. Things like ruminating, which is just a fancy word for thinking about things over and over and over again. That's another symptom of depression. And it exists because our bodies think that if we think about something over and over and over again, we might develop a solution. So if you sort of catch the wave that I'm trying to portray here, it's that even though things don't feel good and they don't feel productive, and having disorders doesn't feel nice, nor is it usually wanted, they're there for a reason. And that's super important. And so as you picture this little object, this little disorder, this little symptom, this issue you have, understand that it exists for a purpose. It's not there to hurt you. It's not there to fight you. It's there because it thinks it's helping. Flash. Yeah. It's a very similar concept to what we were talking about last time. But this time we're practicing it more of as an exercise, like picturing it as an object with us. Because sometimes that visualization can help see why it's here and that it exists, right? And so just for a moment, even though this object makes us feel shitty, it makes us sad, it makes us anxious, just literally for a second, even if you can't bear it for 2 seconds, just for a second, give it some compassion and be like, you're here for a reason. And you're trying to help me, even though it doesn't always feel like it. And I didn't develop you for nothing. I didn't develop this disorder because I'm trying to self-destruct. I developed it to try and adapt. So again, thinking about people who develop PTSD. They don't develop PTSD because they want to explode or die or end their life. They develop PTSD because they've become very hypervigilant. Their bodies are actually trying to protect them from things like that happening again, which is why they have nightmares, which is why they have flashbacks, right? Every symptom you look at of any disorder can be seen in an adaptive light. And I think that's one of the issues that not all therapists or people who speak about psychology will talk about. They'll say anxiety is bad, get rid of it. They'll say depression is bad, get rid of it. But when we actually look at what it's there for, we don't necessarily want to get rid of it. You probably can't take that object and just throw it away and never feel it again. It'll come back. So if we can learn to just accept that the object is going to be there and learn to work with it and show it some respect for the reason that it exists, that's a really big step towards self-compassion, because you can now tell yourself, I'm not feeling this way because I'm crap or because I'm broken. I'm feeling this way because my body's trying to just help me adapt. And although it doesn't know the best way to do that, it's trying. And you're learning. And you're managing and you're coping. And yeah, it's hard. And it doesn't feel so great. But just for a second, give that trouble, give that disorder, give that symptom, that anxiety, some respect for being a part of you, because it is trying to do something. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I encourage you all to share with anyone who's going through a difficult time, to tell them that you're not broken, and this doesn't mean that you are garbage and that you don't know how to cope and you don't know how to live. It means that you're trying, and trying doesn't always work. And learning to work with that feeling and know that that's what's going on, that gives you power. you've taken some power back because you understand that it's not out of control what's happening. Yeah. And so that's my share. That's my little side tangent on compassion.